After everything Canadians have been through, many are no longer chasing growth. How can we move forward without losing ground?
Moving forward with the Dekker team. Moving forward together with the Dekker team.
Welcome to Life's Inside Track, episode 753. I'm Yetta Dekker.
And I'm Ken Dekker.
Thanks for connecting with us each week as we help everyday Canadians build wealth wisely through making life and real estate decisions with even greater clarity, confidence, and conviction for what's next.
Yeah, Yetta, you were talking about how they're trying to protect what they've got.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember a sports analogy where our team was losing because we were trying not to lose instead of playing to win.
And that's happening, isn't it? Because we've had this time where people, are concerned about losing their houses. Isn't it like 42% of Canadians, if they missed one paycheck or lost their job, they could make one more mortgage payment and then they'd be in trouble?
Yeah, if they lost their income for more than 1 month,
right,
42% of Canadians would be in trouble financially.
And so no wonder we want to protect what we have versus chasing for more growth.
Mm-hmm.
And yet
it can hold you back. It can hold you back because we're not talking about reckless decisions, reckless investing.
Oh, I think those days for most Canadians are long gone. The instant get-rich-quick schemes. Do you not think most people have let go of that crazy?
I think there's a draw, just like there's a draw to gambling, and there's a draw to lottery tickets and the instant quick gain. Like, people are looking for it. They're looking for, how do I make it quicker, faster? And it's not necessarily bad. Like, when you're looking for efficiencies, you're looking for, how do I make more money with less effort? Or how do I get the same income on 20 hours a week instead of 40 hours a week? Like, these aren't bad questions. But where it gets too far is when we're trying to get rich quick, the get rich quick scheme. Real estate's a get rich slowly scheme.
Right. And yet it is, for sure. Absolutely. And I think what's happening is many people have woken up to the fact that the get rich quick schemes are get poor quick schemes.
Yes.
They don't really hold water, right? It's like a sieve. Everything leaks out anyway. So yes, I understand there's still gambling, there's still lottery tickets, and yet really who we're talking to are those people, everyday Canadians, that are responsible. They're taking good care of their finances, they're protecting their families, they're balancing their relationships and their well-being, both physically, financially, mentally, spiritually, not just focusing on one thing. Even those people are feeling frozen because of concern of losing what they have. This is what this conversation's about.
It
How
really
do we
is.
not lose? And so sometimes the indecision actually causes us, maybe causes you to move backwards rather than, because the status quo is backward momentum.
Yeah, staying still is not a plan for building wealth wisely.
Other than waiting to hear what the Lord has to say.
Yeah.
Right? Be still and know that He is God. There is reason for pause. There is reason for still. And frozen in time is not a strategy. What?
Yes. Yeah. Real estate decisions, as you said, should support your whole life harmony. And one of the things that I think you said physically,
mentally, spiritually, financially.
Yeah, and you left out relationally.
Oh, I thought I said relational.
I believe not.
Okay.
But that's okay, because that's our next point, is that relationally, if you're in one of you has a propensity for more risk, for investing or whatever, and the other person in the relationship does not, and they're going to have struggles sleeping, or they're having struggles wrapping their head around it. We need to either not do it or gently bring the person along, or adjust our investment strategy so that there's comfort level there for the other. Now, it doesn't mean you're 100% comfortable.
No.
right?
Because whenever you take on anything new,
Mhm.
right, it doesn't matter how simple it is, even learning to garden. I mean,
Mhm.
such a simple nothing, but it makes home maybe more beautiful. You get some healthier produce if you're into the vegetables. I made lots of mistakes the first year and the second year.
And you lost produce.
I did lose a lot of produce. I left some in the ground too long and it froze, which was awful. Having said that, taking small risks that you can sustain
Mhm.
are part of the learning curve. I couldn't be good at it without trying some things. This year, I'm going to do way better at what to put where and how close to put things together and how quickly to get them out and like all those kinds of things,
Mhm.
right? And I think it's the same thing with investing in real estate, whether it's your own home or moving to the next home. Try, like, do a small step. You don't have to move to the 18-unit building or the 20-unit building to start with.
No.
Maybe it's a single family. Now we got to make it look at the numbers. We want to use a proprietary software to make sure that what you're looking at doing makes sense and you're not losing something that you ought to be gaining.
Yeah, and some people find that risky because they have their income, or not their income, but their equity in their house. And then they say, well, if I take equity out of there, then it's more scary. But really, as long as you're staying in relatively the same market, you're taking the same equity. You're just putting half in one house or whatever percentage, it doesn't matter, in the other, right? So now you've got your equity divided into two properties. And we've talked many times about leverage and how that makes you more money. It also goes the other direction, though. If prices are falling, it goes the other way. Now, one thing that's interesting about investment properties is they hold their value based on income more than they do based on market trends. So if the rental income's strong, then the value of the property holds. And if the income is low, but you buy it and you slowly upgrade the income, you increase the value of it based on its income producing abilities more than market values of a single family home, for instance.
Right. So I think what I'm hearing Ken say, and I'm hoping that's what he's saying, when you have clarity about how the different types of properties perform and how they're evaluated and what you can do to actually increase the value in a single family residential, it's reasonably straightforward what you can do and what you can't do. I think it's pretty straightforward. You can do things that actually make it better. So if you have an old kitchen in the property, then improving that kitchen will increase the value. If you have a decent kitchen in that home, but it just doesn't make you happy and you replace it, it doesn't necessarily increase the value because you're just trading one person's preference potentially for another person's preference. So those are reasonably... Right?
Yeah, that's wise. Yeah.
Right? Reasonably simple to look at. And yet when it comes to income property, we're evaluating it entirely differently because what Ken is saying is you look at the income currently and the income potential, right? And when you look at those, the entire evaluation of the property, how much you can borrow on it, how much it is increasing in value changes not based on only the improvements you make. There's a facet of that as well. And it's about if you've had a tenant, so I'll give a vivid example. You've had a tenant in the property for maybe 20 years and the rent increases have not been, and that tenant moves out, then all of a sudden you can increase it to market rent. And now the value of the property actually goes up.
Yeah. For instance, I have a client right now who they live in their family. They have a few kids and they are almost about to pay off their mortgage.
Right.
So fear of losing what you already have would say, no, let's not do anything. Let's finish paying it off. Let's take the easy street, right? But they're looking
Is it the smart street or the easy street?
It's the easy street, not the smart street. Because then you look at, how do we build wealth with that equity? How do we give our house a job? And what's that look like? And they were actually saying, I met with them. We had the discussions a couple times, and
which started with a clarity call, didn't it?
It
a
did.
short little clarity call.
Mhm.
And then from that, they said, that makes sense. We're thinking about this even more than we were before we picked up the phone or picked up the computer and typed in dekkerteam.com and booked a clarity call. And now they've decided that not only do they want to give their house an opportunity to make some money for them, they want to bring their whole family along. Their kids are part of the journey and understanding how to not only work hard for money and to be wise stewards of the money they have.
And learning the skills, they're weighing the pros and cons of getting a newer property that doesn't need any work, or an older property that has upscale, like can be renovated when a tenant moves out and can get a big lift in the rent. And we're analyzing one right now that has three. It's a 6-unit, but 3 of the units have significant uplift room.
Okay, you better explain uplift, because I know
so
what
they're
that
rented
means.
between $800 and $900 a month, and the current monthly rent is $1,500. How can we know that? Because a couple of the other units in the same building, same size, 2-bedroom apartments, are renting at $1,550. So we know there's $500-$600 lift in 3 of the units.
So when you mean lift, you mean an increase potential if they do a little renovation. It's not just when that tenant moves out, it's when they improve the...
You got to clean it up and get it ready for the next tenant. And but there's value add there in the future. And so they're not just looking at what's there, but also, can we bring our kids along? Can our kids learn skills while we're doing the renovations? Can they learn financial skills and why we're doing this? Plus, it's building wealth for them so that they can put them through university and different things like that. So it's a multi-tiered move forward where they're not afraid of losing what they've got.
Well, because they're protecting actually their future by not standing still. Like it's almost the exact opposite. Because if they don't do this, yes, the home they're in will go up in value. And if they use some of the money that's in their principal residence, both homes will go up in value.
Yeah. And the next client we're working with, they've lived in their home for a long time. And they are looking for a bigger property. They're busting at the seams. The kids are turning into teenagers. And it's harder to have, a couple of teenagers crammed into a small bedroom together. And so they're looking at, okay, do we... again, we don't have that big a mortgage anymore. So do we go buy something bigger with a little, increase our mortgage a little? But again, rather than trying to protect it and say, no, we're just going to stay where we are, what happens is the equity that they have, that pot of equity, they just pick it up and move it to the bigger house in the same neighborhood, same market, just a bigger home. So they're protecting, but also meeting their family's needs. Now, that being said, you've got to look at what the extra costs are, the extra taxes, the extra insurance, the extra heating bills, the extra mortgage, and make sure there's a comfort level there to meet that financial requirement. Right?
You're going to say this in probably every Life's Inside Track episode that we ever record. Don't be reckless. Get clarity, get your own clarity. And sometimes you can do that on your own. And yet most of the time what happens is we just reinforce the thing we're thinking.
Yeah. So if you're trying to protect what you've built while also preparing for what's next, a clarity call may help you to see your options. And if and even ones that maybe you haven't considered yet, and just go into dekkerteam.com and book a clarity call. It's free. And it may just change your family's lives. And you know what? Life feels lighter when we navigate it with others. Thanks for joining us on Life's Inside Track. Remember, when we move forward together, we've got this.
Moving forward with the Dekker team. Moving forward together with the Dekker team.